Welcome back to the round 4 in the StarSoc tournament. This is game 3 in the best of 5 series on Taldirum Altar. So this is going to be yet another GSL map, and being a GSL map, it is going to be favouring macro play quite a bit. As you can tell, there are 12 expos on the map. Yeah, that's right. 16 possible bases, 4 being mains, 12 being expos. Simple maths will tell you that. So this is probably going to be a relatively long game unless one of the players does decide to do an all-in, which we did see Brockemon do in game 2. But we also know that both players are highly capable of doing macro games since game 1 did go on for quite a decent amount of time. So let's move right on to introducing our players. In the green chunks, spawning in the top left, we have our Zerg player, Rampager. In the blue trunks, spawning in the bottom left, we have our Terran player, Brockemon. Rampager is the favourite to win this, well, not really to win this, but he is one of the crowd favourites of this tournament. But Brockemon actually has been demonstrating like really stellar play so far. He has taken the first 2 games pretty convincingly. Of course, I must side with Rampager for game 2. He probably didn't expect that coming, because I clearly didn't either. That was some wacky play. So if you haven't seen game 2, go check it out, although if you haven't, I probably already spoiled it for you, but it's still worth a watch. We do see Brockemon getting his refinery up. Nothing for Rampager yet, so he's probably going to be going for an expo first, which he just threw down just then. Again, this is a GSL map, so it is going to be favouring macro quite a bit. So it's not that odd that Zerg will tend to go for hatch first before pool on this map, only just now throwing down his spawning pool at 16 supply. At the moment, Brockemon is just looking to complete his wall in. He's playing pretty standard at the moment, actually cancelling his gas. Question is, did Zerg doesn't even know where he is at the moment. So he did cancel that gas, no idea why, but he probably has something interesting planned, because we all know that Brockemon is capable of that after game 2. Now Brockemon is going to see this hatch go up, so he can probably choose to be a bit aggressive, try to punish the Zerg for being a bit too greedy, but it looks like the Terran is going to be looking to get his own expansion up as well. So he is trying to keep up with the Zerg on economy, and as we all know, if Terran and Zerg are on equal bases, the Terran is actually going to have a lot better economy due to those mills. So Rampage's expo is finished. He's transferring his drones over. He is getting his gas up, which is slightly late, but because he did go for hatch first, that's not really going to matter all that much. Now we do see Brockemon going for 3 barracks, probably looking to throw down a 4th. Come on, SCV. Build the 4th. Still waiting for the minerals. And we'll come back to that. At the moment we do see both players playing pretty standard. Rampager throwing a spine crawler down at his expo just to help defend. We do see some Lings pushing in, probably trying to just poke around to see what they can actually see. And the 4th racks does get thrown down. So at the moment Brockemon going for 4 racks. Still no definite tech tree from the Zerg. Still getting a couple of Zerglings out, choosing to drone up pretty heavily at the moment. The Terran could try to punish the Zerg still, but at the moment, if you look at the economy tab, the Zerg is actually still behind. 700 minerals per minute against the Terrans was 800, now around 650. He does have a mule on the field, so that's probably going to bring him back up to around 700 or so, which it currently is, jumping up to 800. So like I said, Zerg vs Terran, if they're on equal bases, the Zerg is actually going to be behind on economy, so you actually want to try to stay 1 base ahead. But at the moment, he doesn't really have the units to defend a 3rd expo. He does start breaking down the rocks in preparation for the 3rd, but we'll just have to see what he chooses to go with. Rampager does get his 2nd gas up, as well as a Baneling's Nest. At the moment, that probably is going to be a pretty good idea, since he does know that the Terran is going for 4 racks, so he is going to have a predominantly bio-based army. Now we do see Brockemon actually pushing out with a couple of Marines. We'll just have to see if he can actually do enough economic damage without losing too many of the units. Rampager is getting Zergling speed up, and he is going to see 1 Zergling poke around, but that isn't going to really matter all too much. Rampager actually choosing not to break down the rocks. Brockemon returning to base. I have no idea why. Yeah, both players are probably just going to be macroing up for a while. So, because it is kind of a macro map in most cases, we're not going to see that early of aggression. We'll probably just see a couple pushes here and there. It's going to be a bit back and forth, but other than that, both players are just going to be focusing on getting their tech trees up, getting their economies up, and the Terran is getting stim, which is pretty standard. Well, it is standard actually, since he is going mainly bio-based. He is getting 2 factories up, so he is probably going to get his siege tanks up without getting the Hellions. Generally he prefers to get Hellions when it's early game, but this late it's probably just going to go straight to siege tanks. Now we do see a lot of Zerglings and Banelings for the Zerg. No other alternate tech path at the moment. He is getting his lair up, so probably going to go straight for Spire tech, skipping the roaches completely. And now he decides to go back to breaking down the Disruptor rocks. Now we do see 2 tech labs getting thrown down on the 2 factories, so we are going to be seeing siege tanks and not Hellions, although we could see a couple of Hellions come out from one of the factories in conjunction with the Infernal Pre-Igniter. Now the rocks are down, so Rampager is probably going to be looking to get his 3rd up pretty soon. Other than that, Zerg still isn't really doing all that much. He is getting double Evo chambers up to get those essential upgrades, but the lair is finished, so we'll just have to see if he chooses to go with what kind of tech path he actually chooses to go down. He does throw down his Infestation Pit, which will be pretty good against his bio-based army since Fungrowth does quite a bit of damage now. We do see Rampager actually deciding to push out slightly. Zerglings are just going to be trying to poke around. He's going to run to the Xel'Naga Tower, encounter some Marines. Probably is going to be able to pick them off since he does have Zergling speed now. And all 3 Marines do fall, returning back to the Xel'Naga Tower just to get some vision of the map. If I was Rampager, I'll probably just send 1 link down to this base as well, as it is going to give you some decent coverage when the Terran actually decides to push out. But opting to only put Zerglings at the 2 Xel'Naga watchtowers, actually pulling that link back, and now returning it. Rampager seems to be slightly indecisive, but nothing wrong with that. Rampager is moving his drone out to get that 3rd expansion up. Terran is going for infantry armor as well as infantry weapons 1. Zerg choosing to go for melee upgrades and carapace upgrade, also getting the Overlord speed. This is just going to help him when he decides to sack an Overlord, and it's just going to help him get a lot more coverage of the map. He also is getting the Pathogen Glance for the Infestors. That is the plus 25 starting energy, so he is going to be able to fungal growth straight away, which is actually going to be pretty useful, especially if the Terran does decide to push out straight away. The Terran is breaking down his rocks as well, so probably also looking to get a 3rd. And like I said, this is basically going to be a macro-based game. Brockemon does choose to actually get 2 Hellions out on the field. That's probably just going to be to help scout around, get around the map pretty easily. He is getting vehicle weapon upgrades as well as combat shield. And yeah, both players actually choosing to turtle up slightly. Well, Zerg can't really turtle, but he's playing a bit defensive. 3rd base almost finished, and yeah, that's about all there really is to say at the moment. Brockemon is sending a Marine around the map. That's probably just to be scouting for extra Zerg expansions. Rampager probably did see that Marine run past. It probably doesn't really matter all that much though, since he isn't really going to counter anything on this side of the map. Terran did throw a scan down, but he isn't going to see much at the expansion. He is going to see the Infestation Pit, but that could mean anything right now. Now, if we look at Zerg's unit count, we do have 65 drones to Terran's 46 SCVs. If we look at the income tab, it is going to be favouring Zerg quite heavily, 1,700 minerals per minute, compared to Terran's 1,000 minerals per minute. So, Zerg is actually in a pretty good position at the moment. If he continues at this pace, he should be able to out-macro the Terran pretty easily. And the 2 Scouting Hellions do get taken out, not actually able to cause much damage at all. I'm actually pretty sure the Hellions were just move commanded rather than attack move, so they did actually clump up against the Zerglings, get taken out without really dealing any damage at all. Terran just standing by the rocks, probably expecting an expansion to get thrown down anytime soon. Rampager Rampager does have an Overlord down here, Spew and Creep. That's actually going to delay the Terran's third, which he actually is getting up at the moment. Actually building 2 command centers at the same time, so probably looking to double expand. This expansion is going to get delayed, and depending on when that Overlord gets killed, he is going to be scouting the 4th command center flying down as well. So at the moment, Zerg is getting his Spire up as well as his Hive, and he is researching Burrow and melee attack upgrades too. So he is probably going to be going for some Mutas to harass, and depending on how good his economy is doing in the later game, he is probably going to be looking to get some Broodlords up as well. Now the Marines at the Xel'Naga Tower do get taken out by the Zerglings, and Brockemon does finally take out that Overlord. He is going to scout that 3rd base is coming up, and I'm actually not sure if he saw that 4th base fly over. If we take a look at his vision, he actually didn't see that. So a couple of Marines were pushing up to the Xel'Naga Tower, which did get taken out. So Brockemon actually looking to double expand at the moment, waiting for that creep to come disappear still. If that Overlord was there for a substantial amount of time, it actually takes approximately a full minute for that creep to disappear. So that actually is a good opportunity for Zerg to plan an attack, try to attack that expansion before it actually becomes fully operational. And no, I was not quoting a battle cruiser just then. Well, it would be pretty nice to see some battle cruisers come out, but at the moment, he does have 1 starport, so you never know what might happen. Zerg choosing get the Carapace upgrade level 2. Terran choosing go for armor and weapon upgrades, and Zerg is actually getting his Greater Spy, so we are going to be seeing some Broodlords come out. The Corruptors do pop, and he is getting the Neural Parasite for the Infestors. So if Terran does choose to go for Thors again, he is probably going to try to use the Neural Parasite on the Thors, try to cause some damage to their own units. And we do see the Broodlords being morphed in. It's probably not the best idea to morph them inside your base, since Broodlords do tend to move pretty slow. If I was the Zerg, I would actually move to the side a bit, morph them in, and then move them into the Terran's base. Basically, they move so slow that if you do move out and you get caught out of position, that is going to spell quite a bit of trouble. The Terran actually still scouting for additional bases, but Zerg's still sitting on... Actually no, he does have his 5th coming up at the moment. So Zerg is on 5 bases, Terran is on 4 bases. He does have a planetary fortress at his 4, so that's going to be pretty well defended. Brockemon actually did a pretty good thing. He didn't stim his entire Marine army, he only stimmed a couple of them to actually try to drive away the Zerglings at the base. Brockemon doesn't have any medivac support at the moment. The Broodlords are out, so they are probably going to force these siege tanks to unsiege. If not, they're actually going to cause quite a bit of damage to themselves. So Rampager is actually doing a pretty good move at the moment. He's going to get a surround on most of these units. But most of the links are probably going to get taken out by the siege tanks. Although the Banelings come in and take out basically all those siege tanks and most of those Marines. Another wave of Marines actually coming in, try to snipe at those Broodlords, but they're not going to do all that much. Zerg coming in for a flank, but they are going to take out by the siege tanks, but Brockemon is causing quite a bit of damage to his own units from those siege tanks. A couple of Infestors coming out, probably looking just to throw down a couple Fungal Growths. The Broodlords do eventually get taken out by the Stim Marines. Another 2 Broodlords on the field, 1 Corruptor on the way. The Terran is getting 2 Vikings out to deal with it, but Zerg should be able to deal with it pretty effectively if he chooses not to morph in a couple of the Corruptors. This Marine is going to see that this 5th base is running, probably going to try to cause a bit of damage there. But other than that, Zerg probably should just stay back with 2 Broodlords, try to get up a number of more of them, but the Broodlords are going to get taken out by the Marines and the Vikings. That's probably a mistake by the Zerg not to move out with a couple of Corruptors. Terran does have Medivac on the field right now. This is going to help, especially since with Banelings on the field, it's going to cause quite a bit of damage, so you're going to try to micro away from them. So they're not going to be causing as much DPS as you want. So you kind of want to keep those units alive, especially against a substantial amount of Broodlords. Now, the Zerg is getting level 3 melee upgrade. This is going to help for the Broodlings because they do count as melee damage. This expansion does get taken out by a slight number of Marines with Medivac Medivac support. So he's probably going to look to drop into the 4, try to do some damage there, which is actually unprotected at the moment. So most of these drones are probably going to be falling down. Terran choosing to get infantry armor upgrades level 3 as well as weapons, also getting vehicle weapons level 2. And yeah, at the moment both players are trying to play a bit defensive. Terran is trying to mass up quite a number of units. The 3 Vikings probably are going to be enough to take care of the Broodlords, especially if there is no corrupt support. Now we do see one Infestor actually burrowed at the Xel'Naga Tower. He is going to see this unit composition run out. There is no Raven on the field for the Terran, so he isn't going to be able to scout that. We do see the Infestor throwing down a ton of fungal growth. That's actually really effective. Most of these Marines are in red health, so they are going to get taken out pretty easily by the Zerglings. He does choose to burrow the Infestors, keeping it alive. Terran should probably get Raven out just to help detect the burrowed units. At the moment, if this Infestor chooses to pop back up, it probably will be able to get a fungal growth off before it does get sniped out, but Zerg choosing to play it a bit safe. The Broodlords are going to cause the Siege Tanks quite a bit of problems, but these Vikings are going to be easily able to take them out. The Corruptors do come in. Probably should throw down some corruption to help take out the Vikings as soon as possible, because the Vikings are causing quite a bit of problems for the Zerg, since they are sniping out his Broodlords. Those are very expensive units, and especially since Zerg is actually reduced down to 4 bases instead of 5. This base is not mining. He's probably mined out at his main, or almost mined out at his main. This base actually hasn't been mining at all, so the Zerg is probably actually behind on economy. If we look at the economy tab, Zerg is only at 800 minerals per minute, reaching 900, 1000 at the moment. Terran is at 1300. If we look at the worker count, the Zerg is at 62 drones compared to Terran's 67. Now that actually is never a position you actually want to be in. You always want to be ahead of workers when you're against a Terran, because even if you're at equal numbers, the Terran is still going to have a better income, especially since they have the mules to actually back it up. Now, Brockemon with the air dominance, he is going to be able to scout this cliff face if he does choose to. So the siege tanks are going to be able to snipe up quite a lot. He does have a couple of mutas on the field to help deal with the siege tanks and the Vikings. The Corruptor's not morphing into Broodlords anymore because it's not going to be that cost efficient for him, especially since the Vikings are going to be able to snipe it out. Now he does have quite a few Vikings positioned on the high cliff, so he's going to be able to take out those mutas, and the siege tanks now do have vision of the high ground. So Terran pushing in with a couple of Marines, a couple of Vikings, trying to force Zerg to actually push out a bit so he can come in for the snipe. He can probably snipe off this Broodlord since it is slightly out of position at the moment. Terran getting his 5th base up, sorry. So Terran is just building a slight contain. Zerg still stuck on a couple of bases. These units are out of position a bit, so he is probably going to be looking to snipe them out with just 3 Marines, since Corruptors can't really shoot down, so that's kind of bad for them at the moment. The Infestors do throw down Fungrowth from the high ground. Corruptors still trying to snipe at the Vikings. I'd still say Zerg should be using Corruption to try to take out the Vikings as quickly as possible. Rampager does GG out, so that's 3-0 for Brockemon, so he is going to proceed to the grand final. Rampager is still good-mannered in defeat, wishing Brockemon good luck in the tournament. So Brockemon's dominance continues to show, knocking out the crowd favorite of the tournament. And yeah, that's basically about it. This has been Crucius for New South Wales in USID StarSoc, as well as IntoStarCraft. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.